Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies as we continue with part 14, Unworthy Members of the Order, taken from Book the First, The Theory of the Mystic Tie by Albert G. Mackey. Part 10, Unworthy Members of the Lodge. Of all human societies, the most suitable for forming the true good man in all possible respects is without a doubt the Freemasons, but however good the laws may be, they do not entirely change the nature of those who must observe them. In truth, they enlighten them, they guide them, but as they can only lead them by suppressing the ardor of their passions, they often prevail and the institution is forgotten. Gargue, Speech on Flattery. That there are men in our order whose lives and characters reflect no credit on the institution, whose ears turn coldly from its beautiful lessons of morality, whose hearts are untouched by its soothing influences of brotherly kindness, whose hands are not open to aid in its deeds of charity, is a fact which we cannot deny, although we may be permitted to express our grief while we acknowledge its truth. But these men, though in the temple, are not of the temple. They are among us, but are not with us. They belong to our household, but they are not of our faith. They are of Israel, but they are not Israel. We have sought to teach them, but they would not be instructed. Seeing, they have not perceived, and hearing, they have not understood the symbolic language in which our lessons of wisdom are communicated. The fault is not with us, that we have not given, but with them, that they have not received. And, indeed, hard and unjust it would be to censure the Masonic institution, because, partaking of the infirmity and weakness of human wisdom and human means, it has been unable to give strength and perfection to all who come within its pale. The denial of a Peter, the doubting of a Thomas, or even the betrayal of a Judas could cast no reproach on that holy band of apostles, of which each formed a constituent part. If religion, with all the divine support that has been promised and given to it, fails to secure the preservation in all holiness of all its votaries, who can expect that the disciples of Masonic light will not sometimes continue to wander in darkness? The brother may, in each instance, by his evil conduct, disgrace a good profession, but religion and Masonry will both remain uncorrupted. The foundation is not the less pure, because the stream which flows from it has become sullied in its progress through a filthy soul. And the sacred teachings of truth are not the less divine, because they have been offered without effect to the soul contaminated by the follies and corroded by the self-cares of the world. Is Freemasonry answerable, says a distinguished writer, for the misdeeds of an individual brother? By no means. He has had the advantage of Masonic instruction and has failed to profit by it. He enjoyed Masonic privileges, but has not possessed Masonic virtue. Such a man it is our duty to reform or to dismiss. But the world should not condemn us if we fail in our attempt at reformation. God alone can change the heart. Masonry furnishes precepts and obligations of duty, which, if obeyed, must make its members wiser, better, happier men. But it claims no power of regeneration. Condemn when our institution is evil, but not when our pupils are dull and deaf to our lessons. For in so doing, you condemn the holy religion which you profess. Masonry prescribes no principles that are opposed to the sacred teachings of the Divine Lawgiver, and sanctions no acts that are not consistent with the sternest morality and the most faithful obedience to government and the laws. And while this continues to be its character, it cannot, without the most atrocious injustice, be made responsible for the acts of its unworthy members. Without intruding, says D. Witt Clinton, in the remotest degree, a comparison or improper allusion, I might ask whether we ought to revile our holy religion because Peter denied and Judas betrayed. Masons do not pretend to claim for their society a purity which does not belong to any other human institution. They know and they regret that although the light has been offered to all, many are still groping in darkness, and they perceive too often, with unavailing sorrow, that the brightest jewels of the craft are dimmed, and their luster diminished, by the vicious conduct of those who unworthily wear them. But this is the lot of man, with whom there can be nothing perfect, no thing free in all its parts from error, nothing which does not bear upon its face some traces of the serpent's trowel. In apostolic days, says a reverend brother, all were not Israel who were of Israel. Neither in these later times are all Christians who profess the gospel. Nor is it a stigma of Masonry that the ill conduct of some of its adherents disgraces a good profession. The order remains uncorrupted, and every unworthy brother, whether high or low, commits a threefold offense. He disgraces himself, brings dishonor on the community to which he belongs, and hinders its profitable progress in the world. The true spirit of our defense on this topic is contained in the passage which has been adopted as the motto of the present article, to be found in a discourse delivered at Paris more than 60 years ago. Of all human societies, Freemasonry, undoubtedly, under all circumstances, the fittest to form the truly good man, but however well conceived may be its laws, they cannot completely change the natural disposition of those who ought to observe them. In truth, they serve as lights and guides, but as they can only direct men by restraining the impetuosity of their passions, these last too often become dominant and the institution is forgotten. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating towards the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.